Hello.
Well, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, three hellos. Oh, four in total.
I guess, yeah.
That's good.
Are you ready for the clapping?
I'm ready. I'm ready for the clapping, the applause. Actually, I just remembered. It must have been in 1997. I was touring. Like as in a dance company, whatever, like busting my moves. And it wasn't long after I'd met Lil, actually, and who I knew as Liz or Elizabeth at the time. And she came and saw the show. And I remember she was sitting in the front row, maybe the second row, and at the end, taking bows. And I swear she wasn't clapping.
Oh,
I think
wow.
she's since defended that. Said, no, I was, but I don't think she's ever been an enthusiastic clapper. Unlike you, every week, without fail.
Oh, absolutely. It's the only way to start.
Yeah.
I like the treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen approach that she's potentially employing for you.
Yes, and 28 years later, I'm
still
as
keen?
lean as ever. This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
I've had a strange. Last weekend. I started having a TV show recommended to me by lots of people.
Oh, okay. So the same TV show people were saying you must watch ...
Yes.
Oh. Okay, tell me what platform and let me see if I can guess it.
Oh. Can you just guess it without knowing the platform?
Adolescence.
It's easy, isn't it?
I've also had it recommended to me and I have not watched it.
I watched it yesterday.
Is it as grim and difficult as everybody tells me?
I think we should save it until will you watch it?
I mean, I would imagine I will. I've got nothing against Stephen Graham. I believe it's got excellent performances in it. It deals with all of the things that we worry about a lot. So yeah, I probably will indeed watch it.
I think we should wait until you've seen it because I wouldn't mind talking about it. I've got some I had some thoughts about it and also some responses to criticism, some criticism of it, which I thought would be interesting to us.
Well, maybe that's my homework for next week.
Yes,
I will watch it for next week and we can talk about it. But I finished watching Reacher. I've set my bar much lower.
No, much higher. I mean, was Jack Reacher shot in a single shot over 4 episodes? I don't think so.
No, he wasn't, but he did at one point take a bullet from the strip and stick it down the barrel, so it blew up in the face of Paulie, which was hilarious. I mean, you had to be there.
Yeah, you had to. He got in too deep this time, didn't he?
He got in too deep.
I actually remember this book. I remember this book better than because I've read them all, and you're to blame, of course, for all this because while staying at your house, I saw one of them. I went, "What the hell's this?" And I read it in a day, and then read them all. And this book, which I think is called Persuader, is one that stands out over a bunch of them because it was. I really thought he was in too deep. He really was. I'm glad that you finished Jack Reacher, though. What strong, powerful television it is.
There was a moment in the second to last. It's so bad. Bob and I were discussing why it is so bad, and we think it might be the score because.
Oh, I think the script is terrible. I mean, the script is truly...
Okay, except, in the second to last episode, they go and see... If anybody's
they go to LA.
Any clue what we're talking about? Yeah, they go to LA and they Oh, no, this is before they go to LA or something. Anyway, they're catching up with the kidnapped woman's grandmother.
That's right.
I thought that was actually quite well written and really nicely performed, but it had such a bullshit score underneath it. It felt like Hallmark movie of the week.
Yeah, it's got...
And so that, for me...
Does Bob watch it with you?
Yeah, of course. We watch it together.
I mean, I do like watching him. It's so ridiculous. It's so absurd. There's something about it.
Yeah.
It's basically the opposite of Adolescence.
And that's probably what I needed this week. Because I was doing the recycling at some point, and I was standing in the garden, and Jill came outside, and Jill went, oh, it's been a difficult day. I said, what's wrong, sweetheart? And she said, I watched all 4 episodes of Adolescence. I feel a bit jangly. And I thought, well, I'm not going to rush inside then. I'll watch that. So everybody who said, it's really good, have also said, it leaves you feeling. It leaves you feeling, doesn't it? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'll just watch Reacher.
I
wasn't left feeling anything.
That's why I was avoiding it, frankly. And then yesterday morning, I got back from delivering loads and loaves of bread to
loads and loads.
Yep, and I started watching the first episode, and then went, "This is really good."
Oh,
and that was The Enemy. But I did feel a little bit. It's not exactly. It's not Reacher, that's for sure.
Well, this is it. There was a lovely moment in the second to last episode of Reacher where Reacher and
Neely?
lady, can't remember her name. No, not Neely. We know who Neely is because Neely's awesome. This season's squeeze. The one with the Bostonian accent, which is quite preposterous to hear her talking. I know people from Boston talk like that, but it just sounds like they're taking the piss when they're talking. Sorry, any Bostonian listeners.
All our Bostonian cohort.
Switching off in drove.
Yeah. I prefer the Yankees anyway. Go fuck yourselves, all of you.
Exactly. There was a moment where they
fucking
started
Redsox.
to have
a shit team. Always have been.
They started to have a pash.
Oh.
And she
I think we should wait. I think we should get her name before we go on. I think this is terrible that we can't remember her name.
I can't remember anybody's name except Neely and Reacher because Neely's in multiple stories, and so is Reacher, and everybody else is Anthony Michael Hall or Mr. Potato Head, if you prefer. Anthony Michael Hall's son. The big old dude who's too old for this shit.
And Paulie.
Me and Bob. Oh, yeah, Paulie. I can remember Paulie because Paulie's funny. Me and Bob spent the entire series going, I'm too old for this shit. Every time he came on the screen. And it's like, I'm just 1 week from retirement. I'm too old for this shit.
I can imagine watching it with you both would be a lot of fun, that's for sure.
It's a lot of noise. But Bob said something. I can't remember if it was Bob said it or me said it. One of us said, as Lady jumped into Reacher's arms, it must be like climbing a tree. Because he's a big lad.
He is a big lad. I'm going to get the name.
Fine, you do that.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Okay, Reacher's main squeeze in season 3 is called... This is, by the way, we have mega jumped the shark. Nobody's listening to this.
Susan Duffy.
Susan, that's right,
Duffy. Oh, always by surname.
Yeah, not to be confused with Stephen Tin Tin Duffy, who was, of course, big in the 80s.
No, I was confusing her with Tin Tin Duffy. I don't know who that is, but...
You don't know who Stephen Tin Tin Duffy is?
I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. Now we're going to have to find out.
I mean, you don't have to. It's he's a thingamajig. He's a pop star from the 1980s, and he was the founding member of. Are you ready for this?
Go.
Duran Duran.
Wait, what?
Stephen Anthony James Duffy, born in 1960 on the 30th of May, also known as Tintin, or Stephen Tin Tin Duffy, as I know him.
Wait, did Simon Le Bon and gang get rid of them?
He was the founding member, vocalist, bassist, and then drummer of Duran Duran. Went on to record as a solo performer under several different names, and is the singer-songwriter for the Lilac Time with his eldest brother, Nick.
No, you've got to tell us what happened to him and Duran Duran. I know what happened to Duran Duran, but how did he leave or did he get booted out? Were there artistic similarities or artistic differences?
He left. So what happened was, I think it was a natural parting of the ways through my quick Wikipedia skim.
And did Simon Le Bon replace him? Was Simon Le Bon not a founding member of Duran Duran?
So, Stephen Tin Tin Duffy met John Taylor while they were both at Birmingham Polytechnic, now Birmingham City University, if you were interested. Along with Taylor's childhood friend Nick Rhodes, they formed Duran Duran, while Taylor was the guitarist, later switching to bass, and Rhodes played the synthesizer. Duffy was the band's vocalist, lyricist, and bassist. When bass player Simon Coley joined Duffy, moved to drums. He left both the school and the band in 1979 before Duran Duran signed with EMI in 1980.
Wow. We should get him on the show. I'm sure lots of people aren't banging on his door for interviews.
I mean, that's probably true, but, you know.
We could ask him what he thought of Adolescence.
We could, while he sings his 1984 hit Kiss Me to us. Stephen Tin Tin Duffy is a name I know more than a career.
Yeah,
it's one of those things
isn't it just stuck in your head, the name?
It's just stuck in my head, yeah. So when you said Duffy, I immediately went, Stephen Tin Tin Duffy. And then thought, if anybody asks me what song he sung, I'll go, don't know. Probably something that goes, la la la, la 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 la, something like that. Something 80s.
That sounded synthy and 80s.
Exactly. That was my plan.
Nice work. Hey, so we're not going to talk about Deliverance.
Adolescence.
No, Adolescence.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, that would be an awful mashup. I'll make you squeal
like a pig, boy.
See, that's why it would make an awful mashup, Simon.
What would make an awful Deliverance and Adolescence?
Yeah, exactly.
Adolescence.
Adolescence. Delicence.
Deliverance.
So we can't talk about that. We've already run out of Reacher anecdotes, and we've transitioned into 1980s synth pop.
So,
I mean, subject normal.
Should we just stop there? Because I mean, that's. I think I've got something. I've got something I would like to talk to you about.
Okay.
Now wait, I just have to find it.
Okay. So I'm going to do my usual hit me with your best shot, Durden.
Okay.
Why don't you hit me with your best shot?
Here it is.
Which I've said on a couple of occasions at work to a much younger colleague.
Don't get a...
They said, I've got something to discuss with you. And I go, hit me with your best shot, Durden. Why don't... Nah. And they just look at me like I'm having a stroke.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, go on.
I know.
I'm
sorry about that.
Pull the
I'm sorry about that. You should sell that person your VHS player.
I should. Okay. They'd probably think it was retro.
I've got a quote, like I often do. But the weird thing about this,
often.
I never do this, which is I have not written down where it's from, which is so weird. What kind of academic? What like a shit academic.
Well, this can't go in your PhD.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure no one will ever know.
Nah.
And then also tracking down the page number, for fuck's sake. Okay, so this is it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing in our favour. I don't know the things that aren't in our favour, but
everything else.
I didn't copy those bits out. One thing in our favour: some of this becoming kinder happens naturally with age. It might be a simple matter of attrition. As we get older, we come to see how useless it is to be selfish, how illogical, really. We come to love other people and are thereby counter-instructed in our own centrality. We get our butts kicked by real life and people come to our defense and help us, and we learn that we're not separate and don't want to be. We see people near and dear to us dropping away and are gradually convinced that maybe we too will drop away someday, a long time from now. Most people, as they age, become less selfish and more loving. I think this is true.
Wow. I mean,
is it?
It's a lovely sentiment. It's a lovely sentiment, but I'm going to say, of the 51 years I've spent on the planet, all evidence points to the contrary.
You mean
Not
you haven't?
all evidence.
You don't think you've got kinder?
No, I was actually thinking
other people.
Other people haven't gotten kinder. I think. Okay. I think. That's an interesting way to. There are two ways in for this, I think.
Go.
For me. One is, I think the people who get older get kinder to the people around them.
Oh.
But perhaps become less tolerant of the people further away from them. And I think that the people who are younger are more tolerant of the people further away from them and are less kind to the people closer to them. That's been my experience. So I see, like, familial, and I don't just mean my family, I mean, like, friends' families, and just, I see families cleaving to one another in a much more sustainable or sustaining, I think that's the word I mean, sustaining way as members get older. So it's like the
bonds,
annoyances,
the
bonds get tighter, or the annoyances get reduced, and it might even not be that the bonds get tighter, because I think, you know, we're ever so good as a people of floating away from one another, aren't we? And I think I see, and it's one of those things, though, isn't it? Even as I'm saying this, I've got a Rolodex of people who I know are just being absolute twats to one another.
I wouldn't mention Rolodex to your younger colleagues. They'll just look at you funny.
Yeah, a contacts list in my iPhone brain of people, and I'm thinking of somebody I went to school with, who was the year above me, who my parents know their parents. I knew them. I mean, I wouldn't claim to know them now. I hear about them through extension, and they're effectively the same age as me, and their parents are effectively the same age as my parents. I think they might be a little bit younger than my parents. They're a year older than me, but, you know, broadly speaking,
same generation.
And so, if what I just said were true, they would have been cleaving to one another more and more. And yet the stories I hear is that from both ends of the spectrum, they are becoming more and more toxically petty.
You mean within the family?
Within the family, yeah. So the thing I just said about you get closer to the people that are close and perhaps less tolerant of... Yeah, and, well, I would actually say... I think they are obnoxious to people outside and inside. I think it's just they're becoming more intransigent, and I by they I mean both generations. So
go on.
So maybe it's one of those things, isn't it, where, like, that's a lovely quote.
We don't know where it's come from, of course, but
yeah. But it doesn't seem to bear itself out. And then I think, well, maybe it's this, and then even as I say that, it's like, well, I'm not sure that bears itself out either. What I can say is, I was going to say my parents have gotten kinder to me. No, they haven't. They've always been kind. They've gotten kinder to Bob. But I'm not sure if that's about getting kinder to Bob, and I think it's more about getting to know her more. Because I think about when they weren't, I mean, they were never unkind, but when I think they were, when I think about where they might have been more standoffish, if I think about it, it's like, when were my parents a bit, like, prickly? And that would have been, like, when we'd been going out for 6 months. And it's like, who is this girl? You know, it's like, oh, well, that's like, because we knew each other for 6 months.
What was the situation when you first took Bob to meet your parents? Like, and how soon into your relationship was it?
I think she came to visit me at Christmas, and we'd met in the October.
Oh, so just a couple of months.
Yeah, just a couple of months. And I think I think my parents expected... You've known Bob for quite a long time, haven't you?
As long as I've known you.
Yeah, so like 20 years-ish?
2000, well, I guess you interviewed me at the end of 2005, December 2005.
Yeah, So breakneck of 20 years.
Yeah.
I would say that Bob has become more comfortable in herself over the last 20 years. Would you say that was a fair observation?
You beautifully. I can't comment because you just cut out as you were telling. You need to repeat the observation for me. I was just going to wing it, but you asked me a direct question based on something you said, and I was pretty much fucked. I was tempted to go, not on your life.
Yeah, no.
What sort of shit's coming out of your mouth now, bucko?
I said, would you agree that over the past 20 years, Bob has become more herself? She's grown into herself.
Oh.
More.
I mean, I guess it depends a little bit on what that means. But yes, I think if I understand it to mean a sort of sense of herself, or this is the person I am, then yes, I would agree with that. But I don't, yeah.
In the sense that I think that she feels less... the things that she struggles with in the world, she's much more able to say, hey, I struggle with these things, rather than feeling embarrassed about the fact that she was struggling with them.
Yes.
And so, as a result of that, she is much... I think I remember the moment that I saw her sort of become a bit more her and own ground. Was we were in Liverpool and we were seeing a show by Henry Aguique, I should say, the choreographer. And it wasn't a great piece, but that's neither here nor there. And this young woman came up to us and said, hiya, Bob, hiya, Lee. And Bob went, oh, hello, sweetheart. Now, listen, I know you. I know where I know you from, but I can't remember your name. So will you just tell me what it is? And she was like, she blinked for a little while, and then she went, Minnie. She went, that's right. And then Bob kind of then gave a list of things that Minnie had done, which made Minnie kind of glow. That it was really clear that the thing that Bob had forgotten was
the name.
Effectively the least important thing. She couldn't remember her name, but here was a list of her achievements. And you wrote this beautiful essay about such and such a thing. And and I remember you did this lovely piece with so and so, and you made that thing. And that installation that you did. Oh, that was so nice. And she walked away from Minnie, the young woman, walked away from the encounter glowing, because Bob had remembered all these things and said really lovely things about her, but she couldn't remember her name. And instead of being embarrassed and being less with that person because she knew that she was going to be, awkward about remembering her name, she just said, I don't remember your name, which effectively is the least important thing about you right now, to me.
That's it. It's funny. And telling me that story makes me think that's the most Bob thing I've ever, it's a very, I think of that as a very Bob behavior or action.
Absolutely, but that was for me. That was probably what we would have been probably together by that point for about 10 years or so. So it would just be before we met you, roughly. So about 10 years ago. 10 years into our relationship, and that was the moment that I saw Bob becoming Bob. Because the Bob in the previous 10 years would have gone bright red. She would have struggled to find her words.
Yeah, she stepped into the experience or the situation.
Yeah, and so when I think about that person that my parents were a bit like uncertain about, they were seeing that person who couldn't step into herself.
Well, she was 18, 19.
19, yeah. So I mean, yeah, and I think they wanted somebody who was easier. And now, of course, what they want is the world to be populated by Bobs.
My dad to be populated by Bobs.
Oh yeah, I think I've said this on more than one occasion, that I'll phone up my dad, and my dad's first question will always be, "Where's Bob?" Like, she's in London. Oh, why are you phoning? It's like, because you're my dad. Oh, why don't you phone when Bob's there? It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. You like her, great. I was just phoning to see how you are. It's like, oh. Well, I might send her a text to see what she's doing. Fuck off. But that's a very long-winded way of trying to get to that quote. I think it's like, yeah. So Bob's gotten kinder, I guess, but I think the person that she's gotten kinder to
is
herself. So I guess I'm saying, yeah, I think maybe we, and by we I'm talking about me now, aren't I? Because that's the only we I can really be confident about. Yeah, maybe I have gotten a little kinder, like incrementally as I go along. And certainly, as I've watched people die, I've been reminded time and time again how fragile our grip on this planet is, and wanting to try. Yeah,
I definitely have a stronger sense of being connected connected with people I don't know, a sense of being part of, I'll just say, the human race in a way that this person's referring to, that it's that we're not separate and don't want to be. I definitely, that's definitely softened my edges. Softened my edges in terms of ambition. It's softened my edges in terms of what I'm prepared to do and say, and that sense of connection to people, and people even people I don't know, I'm walking past in the street, I can see, it's not a stretch for me to imagine their desire to be happy as well.